Central banks are increasing their gold reserves due to increasing global financial crisis concerns. Billionaires like Ray Dalio to giant fund management companies like Goldman Sachs are turning to physical assets like gold. That's not surprising. Historically, gold's biggest rally happened after the largest recessions in history. In fact, after the 2000-2009 recession, gold prices jumped 50.5%. Think about what that means. Wealth of entire countries are being protected by gold. Wealth of billionaires are being protected by gold. Many people are using gold to keep their billions safe. And Noble Gold Investments can help you protect your own wealth too with gold. It will take you no more than 5 minutes to set up an account. Noble Gold specializes in storing the value of your wealth through gold IRAs, so they're the natural choice. And they're giving away a beautiful 1/10 of an ounce gold American Eagle coin with every qualifying IRA or 401k this month. Folks, do something different. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold. Call the team now at 877-646-5347. Once again, that's 877-646-5347. Or to find out more, please visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Folks, I am here with Daniel Satchkov, and he is one of the principals of Bastion.com. I think you'll find this interesting because we were talking before we hit the record button here about Kazakhstan, what happened there a year ago. And I was, because I'm a news hound, I was familiar with the revolution, for lack of a better word, but it's not something I was like really tracking with. But what Daniel was talking about is that everything went down, and I'll let him talk about that. Daniel, welcome, and we are on Bastion. We just kind of started with, and thanks for taking the time to tell us about it. Pick up the story. What happened in that little remote country, which most people don't even know where it is on the map. Tell us about that.
That's right. And I was actually born there, so for me it's relevant. But there was a big uprising, and without getting into details of why and so on, government shut down the internet to try to basically stop coordination, stop the news flow. And by the way, does that sound like familiar? Right? It's sounding like a lot like 2022, right, around the world. We could see that repeat anywhere, the States, Europe, anywhere. So they shut down the internet. Well, we have videos of users of Bastion sending us that the app, Bastion has a desktop app for a computer, that it works. Nothing works. Like, basically, think about it, like everything shut down. All they can see is state TV. And how can you trust state TV, right? They look out the window. They don't even know what's going on in their own city. Who won, who has the power, and so on. You can't trust state TV at that point, right? That's plain. So they go to Bastion, and lo and behold, it works. Why did the Bastion work when none of the other social media work? None. Freedom oriented, big tech, nothing. Because Bastion is originally built based on decentralized framework, meaning that there's not a central computer that runs Bastion. There are no servers that we own at all. And we are just the open source development team. There's no corporation per se, no bank account, nothing to shut down, no PayPal. So what happens is when you use Bastion desktop app, and you can go to bastion.com, sign up, and you can use it to the website, but it'll give you a pop-up to say, download the app. It's really important. When you use the app, it speaks directly to users' computers around the world that run Bastion. And there are hundreds of them at this point, many hundreds. So this means that you can shut down Bastion. Let's say that it's shut down. All of the internet is down. The DNS is down, which is the system that allows you to find websites. You enter, facebook.com, not working, rumble.com, whatever, good website, not working, right? But Bastion app will work in vast majority of situations because you're connecting directly to a computer. That computer may be in like Vietnam, or it may be in France or whatever, maybe next door. But the point is, a lot of the things on the internet are down. Large swaths of the internet are down. Yet Bastion works, and we've seen that in Kazakhstan, and that's exactly how we were building it. This was envisioned from day one. When we started building it in 2017, When we started building it in 2017, some people thought that this was excessive. They're like, why don't you build a freedom-oriented company and build a social media like everybody else? Well, I was saying that I'm a risk manager and I can see forward, the logical conclusion is that that's not going to stop. They're going to go much, much further, right? They're going to go, I don't mean to scare you. This is not what this is about, but you have to be realistic that it's not going to end at banning, a couple of bloggers or a couple of dozen bloggers. It's going to end by banning whole points of view. Then it's going to move to your personal messages, like in China. If you
Right.
send a
Exactly.
message to your
China's
friend,
the
a
model.
personal message, yeah, and it's something disloyal to the Communist Party, you may not be able to buy food the next day. That's how it works. That's really how it works. And I spoke to people who lived there for a long time. So, but Bastion, the idea is that it's non-corporate, it's decentralized, and it's not so easy to shut down. There's not like, Parler, when it was up and coming, all Amazon shut down their servers. Well, Bastion has no servers on Amazon or any other cloud provider. There's no cloud servers. It's run on people's computers around the world, and you just connect to those computers. So that is the main point that I want you to take away. That when you're when you're on YouTube or Facebook or any other platform, even the good platforms, right? The freedom-oriented platforms, they're centralized services. They're excessively easy to turn off, very easy. And so you have to think about that. If you're looking at the world today and you're thinking, wow, it's really paranoid, it's all safe, nothing will happen, nothing to worry about, well, then you don't need necessarily Bastion. There are a lot of good platforms out there. But if you're thinking that way, something like Kazakhstan could happen here where the internet is shut down, then I need Bastion, because it might be not just watching my favorite blogger, it might be a way to get life-saving information from me, right? So that's one point that comes from that whole Kazakhstan story. The other point, of course, is privacy. Bastion is built on the premise that there's no personally identifiable information at all, meaning that it's not connected to your phone, it's not connected to your email even. You can add an email optionally for email list, but it's not required. So there's no personal information, and all of the code is open source. So you can see that it doesn't store anything. And again, Kazakhstan or China, look around the world. Like China is a polygon, right? It's a place where they test their techniques of enslaving people. In China, everything is tied to your phone number. Every action, your personal messages, your conversations, AI listens to all of them and can tell if you said something disloyal. You cannot get around by using kind of vague language. Like for a while, YouTube bloggers got around by not using certain words. That's not going to work. It's really going to get a grasp of you and it won't let go. And the reason is you allowed them to do it by using your personal information, by tying yourself to a phone number. Like, for example, you use Facebook, you tie your phone number, that's it. Even email to some degree, to a lesser degree, but phone number for sure. And most social networks now require or encourage you actively to use it with your phone number. Use your real name, upload a passport, upload a driver's license, right? All these things. Right. Now think about this. You're using them, you're giving them all of your information, every comment, every emotion, even the videos you watched, all is stored. Down the line, don't you think that they might use it against you? You don't have to be a criminal, actually. There are ways to deal with criminals. Law enforcement can find them without violating our privacy, law-abiding citizens. So the premise of Bastion is that, like Kazakhstan showed, the event showed that you need to have a way to survive on the internet to get information when it's shut down. And also, last couple of years showed us that you better not give up your personal information because they're going to use it against you. You don't think like the tens of thousands of IRS agents or whatever, they're not going to have access to your messages, to your personal messages eventually, right? Long enough. So that's the gist of Bastion. It's not like, oh, it's another social freedom-oriented social media, which is great. I don't think this is competition. I love them, right? There are many good platforms, but it is must-have if you want to really remain private. If you want to have access to information in dire straits, in dire times, you need something like that, and that's what we've been building for 5 years now. like 20 developers now building this product. It's immensely complex, but it's working. It's starting to grow. There are hundreds of thousands of people actively using it. There are, close to between, 1 and 2.5 million visitors a month, according to some external services. So it's starting to grow, but it's still small because we don't have the VC money, the investor money. But the point is, if enough of us take these precautions, right, stop being for sale, stop being the good for sale in these big tech platforms, then we all stand a better chance.
So let me ask you this. There's a show that we took off the air. We took off YouTube. We took it off all platforms because we just got tired of poking the bear. And I've told you this before, what we hit record.
Yeah.
Well, Politics, Prophecy, and a Supernatural Report. And everything was from a very conservative viewpoint. And we already got, a warning from YouTube. And that's why and in this political climate over here, it's, you got to be careful what you say, because things can be construed as hate speech just for saying something, just for stating something. Oh, that's hate speech. Now what? Now you're in court. So we just backed way off. Let me ask you this. If we decided to rekindle, let's say, Politics, Prophecy, and the Supernatural Report, I know we can put it up on Bastion because we're putting up many of our shows already on Bastion. But the problem with it that I have is that other media can come in and see that and go, Marzulli's back again, talking that right-wing stuff on pp&s. He's on Bastion. Would it be safe, in your opinion, to do that? What are your thoughts?
That's a great question. I can't vouch for what these centralized platforms will do, how far they will go. In fact, I'd love to tell you, yes, just put it up, right? But I think that they will go that far, whether they do it right away or not. But remember, in Bastion, you have an option to open multiple accounts. You have aliases. So open another account. Yeah, your viewers might understand that, this is you, but at least don't call it the same name. It's going to be harder for them to connect it, right? Maybe, put it out under a different production or something. So yeah, they might be able to see it. They might be able to watch it. And I know there's fear of such platforms. So hopefully it will grow and you'll find your way to put this show under some different brand and, keep your livelihood. Ultimately with Bastion, though, this system is envisioned also as a kind of a platform to earn livelihood for bloggers. Now it's still in its infancy in that way, but it's got an internal cryptocurrency called Pocketcoin. It's kind of like Bitcoin, but it's within Bastion. What it does, it rewards node operators. Remember, those computers around the world, they can't do it for free. Right? You have to understand that altruism doesn't go far enough. People will not run computers for months and years, burning electricity, using up internet and hardware for free, even if they really love you and they love the idea. So there's Pocketcoin that they earn, and that compensates at least some trouble they go through. But also the same Pocketcoin is actually given to authors, right? There's a way that you earn when people watch you and rate your content. You earn some money when people actually can attach Pocketcoin to comments. It goes up, and you see it from all the comments. It's distinguished. So we are thinking of a way, and again, this is going to depend on whether enough people adopt the platform. There are already a lot of users, but there should be many more. If enough people adopt the platform, you should be able to switch to it and just monetize everything on Bastion. And so you build your audience now, and we're working on all these things to help you monetize it. There's already some monetization. Like I said, you earn just by people voting on your content. And we're actually going to increase that. We're going to increase rewards for top content in the blockchain. But that's the ultimate goal, is to, like Bastion, right? When we built it, we didn't do a corporation. There's no corporation. It's open source project. It's public domain, no bank account, no PayPal. Ideally, that's the way bloggers should be, because as long as you have Facebook, YouTube, bank account, PayPal, you're beholden to them to some degree.
Yeah, absolutely.
We want to get out of that, right? Get out of that.
So let me ask you this. So basically, and we're already on Bastion, and what I love about it, there's free speech, and people have, you might not like what that guy who commented said, but it's a platform where people can comment without, the censors coming in and going, well, that violates our community guidelines or whatever it is, which is such a vague, when you say community guidelines,
Yeah,
I've read them,
or hate speech. I
but
mean, hate speech is a completely vague
yeah,
term.
I mean, it's utterly vague. And if someone doesn't like you, it's just like blink, and then there you go. And that's can be 10 or 15 years worth of work to build that platform suddenly gone. Now that
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I love the idea of Bastion, we were over on Vimeo about 3 years ago now, and we were running all of our daily shows over there, and we had all of our videos for rent on Vimeo. All of a sudden they just took us down. They just completely deplatformed us, and they held back $14,000 in revenue. And this wasn't from ads, this was from purchasing our videos on Vimeo. They held back
Wow. They
$14,000.
confiscated that, huh?
They took the money. I had to lawyer up. I actually had to get a lawyer, and the lawyer wrote a letter that we're going to court with this thing. That is thievery, the absolute thievery. And they caved, and we got our $14,000. So it was some of the best. I think the lawyer got like $1,500 or whatever, but it was one of the best $1,500 I've ever spent. But that's how the game is played, and that's one of the reasons why when I was approached by your company, Bastion, to go there, company's the wrong word, but when I was approached to go to
Right. Project,
yeah,
yeah.
I went, wow. And I realized it's a fledgling, that we're on the ground floor here. Is that a fair statement?
Maybe a second floor, because we have spent a
Okay, the
few
second
years and
floor.
the
All right.
system is very robust, but it's taken off, right? It's taken off, and it's important to know that it's not completely unmoderated. Like, for example, there are 3 types of content that are forbidden on Bastion. That's pornography, that's direct threat of violence, and illegal narcotics. None of that. So, but it's moderated by a community based on transparent principles. So there's no arbitrary censorship. That's the most important thing, right? Even if these platforms, if they censored, I mean, this is the argument they use is, this is my private company. I can do whatever you want. Go start your own Facebook, right? And whatever, which is completely ridiculous, because we know people tried that and they've been kind of ruined in other ways. But the point is that if they did their censorship equally and objectively, few people would argue, right? Okay, well, you're very strict, but at least you're strict to everybody, and I know what to expect. The whole problem is with these vague terms that they use, and then anything goes, just whether they like you or not. So with Bastion, there are 3 very clear things that are not allowed in any kind, anyway, and they're very easy to tell. So for moderators that are community moderators, these are people who have invested typically over a year of their time into the platform, so they get this badge. They can actually remove content, but it takes a lot of them, and it takes consensus. So mathematically, it's almost impossible, nearly impossible, for them to block somebody for disagreement. And we're actually building something called jury on a blockchain, where now moderators can choose to moderate somebody. And in the years that it's been running, there's never been a problem when they try to deplatform somebody, because there are too many people have to agree. But now with the next release, it's going to be actually jury, where the moderators are chosen for jury. So you don't choose to moderate a certain channel, you're chosen. So it's like jury of peers, and they have to do voted unanimously. So, and it's very easy for them, because again, it's very clear what pornography is. Well, I know but it's much clearer than the hate speech and community guidelines, right? So they don't have to spend a lot of time. Yeah.
Let me address that for a second. So I'm on the internet. This is the kind of nonsense we're talking about. I'm on the internet last night, and I go to Fox News, and one of the stories is Kim Kardashian is wearing a jockstrap. And this is like, and it's right there, and you can see her. And I'm just going like, I mean, this is Fox News, and this is soft pornography. That's what it is. There's no way. This is Playboy in the 50s. And, I wasn't looking for anything, but there it is. Boom.
Yeah.
And now it's in, and you just kind of go, you've got to be kidding me. So I called up my friend Bob Ulrich and was ranting about, why is it that, who are the people that decide that this picture of Kim Kardashian is going to go all over the internet. And it was everywhere. It's just mind numbing. So, I mean, we are in a managed agenda where they're going someplace. And I think you've already mentioned it. The goal here is communist China. That's what they want, I think, on a global level. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Yes, I do. I do. And I don't believe that they're gonna get it, just because
I don't
I
either.
do think that the people will the more of us that wake up and resist it in peaceful, lawful ways, it's the more the less chance they have, because you cannot do that without China is a different story. They had to go through a major terror spree there to calm the populace, and in general I think there's more compliance and that kind of culture. uh I do think that that's the goal, right? And that's why when I'm speaking of what we are building, you have to think not about today, not right now, because right now it's very easy to use these big tech networks. They're actually very easy and simple, but you have to think about what you're giving up. It's like I use an analogy frequently of a cheese in a mousetrap. It looks very, very complimentary, free, but actually it's very expensive. You just pay at the end. It's backloaded. You pay with your life. So when you buy cheese, it's actually far cheaper to buy it. So Bastion is not paid or anything, but my point is that when people are lazy and look for convenience, then they're asking for it, right? When your main goal in your life is convenience, there's, oh, I'm on YouTube, I'm too lazy to move over, I'm just used to it. It's so easy. They just pop up stuff and they feed my kind of limbic system and so on, my neurons. The thing is, you're giving up a lot, and then later you have nothing to complain about, because if later you wake up in communist China, well, you did it, right? You didn't do anything to get out of the system, and
Right.
it's very easy. It's just a couple of clicks. But the problem is, people have gotten very, very lazy. I read a study recently where it says that grown-up people on the internet, adults, have attention span that's lower than the goldfish. Goldfish has a attention span of 9 seconds. Like, people drop below that. So why? And then that's going back to your Kim Kardashian thing. That's what does it, right? That's not the thing that makes you think or focus your attention. That actually distracts you. So there's lots of distractions. So you should really think about, how do I get control of this to some degree? Now, you don't have to go up into the mountains and turn off electricity and internet necessarily. You can actually be more mindful about the things you do. And that's why we build Bastion this way. And that's why I'm kind of spreading the word to try to get out of this matrix, for lack of a
It
better
is a
word.
matrix, absolutely, as it
Yeah,
is.
not even my favorite movie, but the point is that people get this analogy, is that you're in there, it's very convenient, you're kind of just floating, and this current is carrying you, but that shouldn't be that way. You should be walking on your 2 feet, and you should be thinking about, what am I doing, being thoughtful and conscious, like, what am I going to watch, why am I logging in here, why am I giving up all my personal life, my personal messages to these companies? Yeah, and I'm trusted. That's a whole lot of trust to believe that one day they're not going to go, what did you write 5 years ago? And do you want that
Exactly.
to be out there? Do you want to live in that, glass house?
Boy, that's really
I
well
don't.
said, really well said. So tell the folks how to sign up for Bastion. What do they need to do?
It's very simple. I put in a short even to make it easier, Bastyon'S.com with a Y. It doesn't require anything. The sign up is the easiest of all social networks. It's like 30 seconds. You create a nickname, you can add a picture, or you can do without the picture. And the picture doesn't have to be your own picture, right? You don't have to give up any personal information. You get a private key. So that's the difference you have to understand. It's not a login password. There's no password.
Whole
It's a
different deal.
private key, and you are the keeper of it. If you lose it, it cannot be recovered. That's the price. That's what I'm saying, that it's less convenient in some sense. But I will tell you that there's another reason why it's much better, because we're talking about, tyrants and governments and so on. But let's go back to hackers. When you store your passwords and your personal information in some centralized repository, it's only a matter of time before it's hacked. and it's out there on the dark web. Only a matter of time. All your personal messages, everything you've done on these platforms, they're going to be sold one day. Somebody's going to read them. So, but when you keep your private key, right, maybe you don't have the security that these servers have. But the point is, every one of these hundreds of thousands of users has their own private key, and it's kept separately. It's kept on the computer, or preferably written down on a piece of paper. Imagine if you're a hacker. How do you hack these 400,000 people? You need to hack every one of their computers. That's impossible. You can hack one or two or three or a dozen, maybe, and then you're done. So even from a security standpoint, we're entering, my other prediction is that we're entering in an age of major hacks. We're going to see, and whether those are, false flags or not, we're not going to know. There's going to be people that hack this and that, release private information, turn off, electricity, whatever they're going to do. I don't know. Right. So the question is, do you want your private information to be beholden and to be sitting in a place where it's easily accessed, because it's there with millions of people. It's like a prize. It's like Fort Knox, right? It's sitting there attracting the brightest minds. And with Bastion, though, you have your private key. That's it. You keep your private key. It's on a piece of paper, and nobody else knows it. Developers of Bastion cannot possibly find your private key or change it or anything.
Daniel, thanks so much for coming on the record. Folks, before we go, I am on Bastion.com. You just look under Marzulli. We're beginning to post on a daily basis to try to keep up with it, because for a variety of reasons, we're in this semi-police state, which is not getting any better, as Daniel's been saying. So check it out, folks. Go to Bastion.com. Bastion.com. Sign up today. I'm on there. We're putting all of our shows there. Daniel, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. And please.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, let me know if we've got any updates for the folks, and we'll have you back on.
Keep up the work.
Thank you, sir. And folks, as happens all the time, the moment we stop recording, our guest thinks of something very pertinent. Daniel, tell us what you were talking about, encrypted chats in Bastion.
Yeah, I was talking about the next step, right? Next step of censorship. People don't realize that, but it's your personal messages that are going to be censored, that are going to be tracked, just like in China. And when you're using like a Facebook Messenger or using WhatsApp, you have to understand that the keys to encryption are owned by the company. They can read many people can read your messages. Algorithms can read your messages. Not only that, but they're tied again to your name through your phone number. So that's why the team of developers on Bastion has developed a private chat. There's actually within Bastion, right? If you log in on the right side there, you can invite friends. It's a private chat that is peer-to-peer encrypted, meaning that it's encrypted on a device where you write a message, and it's decrypted by the recipient. And you can see that in the open source code, because the code is released for everybody to see. It can plainly be seen where it's encrypted, where it's decrypted. So nobody can read those messages. On top of that, right? On top of that, it is not connected to your phone number, which again is the most important thing. I want you to disconnect as many things in your life as you can from your mobile phone number, because your mobile phone number is your prison guard, right? You have to disconnect. You can use it for some things, because if you go completely dark, that's also maybe suspicious, but you have to disconnect enough things and be private and not live in the glass house. So if you sign up to Bastion, there's a private chat on the right. It's improving every day. There are some great developers working on it. I'm not a programmer. I'm a math geek, an inventor. But they've recently added audio messages fully encrypted, so you can actually leave voice messages for your friends that nobody can read, on one-on-one chats. And they're adding kind of new stuff every day. I know they're getting ready to work on audio calls, so encrypted peer-to-peer phone calls, which is I think going to be great. So use the chat as well, and try and for your private conversations, your close friends, your family. I would not use WhatsApp except for the most kind of benign things, and even Telegram. People know about Telegram. Telegram chats are not peer-to-peer encrypted. You have to remember that. They can be read by Telegram. They can be released if requested. Sign up for Bastion, use the private chat, and
Bastion.com.
all of us make it better. Yeah.
Bastion.com. Daniel, thanks so much for coming on. And
Thank
thanks
you.
for that last little bit. Really appreciate it.
They got their knowledge from the heavens.
He saw it, said, whoa, that's a UFO.
This orb comes up and it's bright orange.
I'm not wanting to make full eye contact with these things. But from what I did see, when I did look at them, they're like they're soulless.
It was right directly above us right here, and then it started tilting and moving up like that.
All of a sudden I was being lifted about 3 feet off the ground.
It was going slow. I was walking right underneath it.